Welcome to the Childcare Business Coach podcast with Evelyn Knight, where mindset mechanics come together for success. Evelyn Knight is the leader of the ECE revolution and is on a mission to touch 1 million children's lives through the elevation of the ECE community.
Hello and welcome to the Childcare Business Coach podcast. My name is Evelyn Knight. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, you're going to get a pretty raw recording, whether you're listening to the audio on my podcast or you're watching the live video. This is, by the way, pre-recorded if you're watching live, but you're getting something pretty raw because I am traveling. I spent the last week teaching a lot. I taught for Kangaroo Times Bounce Conference, and then I flew to New York City from Buffalo and taught in New York's Long Island area. And I was talking to a lot of different owners and directors and just really thinking about all these conferences that I go to and teach at and my own conference and all the things. And one of the most common things I heard is that there's so many amazing trainings and there's so many wonderful trainers out there right now. But people almost have this information overload. There is so much coming at them and they're not implementing. There's so many wonderful nuggets they're learning, but they're not seeing change happen. They're getting this wonderful momentum, like they get excited and they get all the things, but then nothing happens. So if you're one of my members, this is something you're going to have heard before, and it's something I repeat, but I wanted to say this for everyone out there, not just my members. But it's really, really important not to just take a training and never do anything with it. If you spend all this money going to different conferences and taking all these different things in, but you're not seeing results, there's a problem. And the problem, honestly, isn't with the training, it's with the implementation. So, most of you know, I have degrees in psychology. So whenever I'm doing anything, I really study how do people react and behave around these different situations. So when I really became a trainer, I did study a lot of this. And I would look at my own staff and I got really frustrated because I sent them to all these trainings, but I felt like nothing was changing. Felt like I was giving them all these amazing opportunities, but they weren't growing and they weren't learning. And I really wanted to know why. So, as I was doing the research, what I found was that according to statistics, when you do a training, you only remember 15% of a training. You only implement 3%. That is huge. Think about that. If you went to one of these conferences, and I know there was some I turned down this week that I was supposed to speak at, but I just couldn't fit it all in with all the other speaking engagements that I had committed to. So many of you have been to these different conferences and there's so many people putting such wonderful things out there, but you're only implementing 3%. What a waste of time and money. So what is the key? The key difference is to get coaching. So as I was doing my research, I found that if you pair training with coaching, that statistic of 3% implementation actually flips and it goes to an 85% implementation rate. Because a coach comes alongside you and they check on you. They make sure that you get it done correctly, right? So think about a training that you go to and you think, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm going to go do this. And you try and it just doesn't work. And you're like, wait a second, why isn't this working? Well, that's where a coach can come in, right? So think about this for your own staff or anything you're doing in your life. Think about it as, okay, I did this wonderful training, but now they don't get it. Well, that is when it's time to step in and coach. Have your staff demonstrate what they're doing. Help correct them, lead them to it, lead them through it, not to it, through it. But do this with gentleness and kindness. A lot of times when we become coaches, and we start coaching, we get really frustrated really fast and we forget, honestly, how long we've been doing something. If you've ever taught someone how to drive, that is the perfect illustration, right? Think about that. When you teach someone how to drive, you don't just put them in front of a simulator give them the permit test and say, okay, there is a keys, go on, go do it. No, most states require hours and hours and hours of documented driving and practice with somebody who knows what they're doing. That is what coaching is. It's that time of practice. And if you've taught someone how to drive, you know just how to turn. You can overshoot the turn. There's just so many different little nuances. It's the same thing with coaching your staff in the classroom. Exact same thing. If you're a leader who's struggling to implement this stuff, it is the same thing. You need somebody who's been there and done it to come alongside you and coach you with patience. I taught 2 kids how to drive, and it takes a lot of patience. And I had to remind myself how long I had been driving before my boys got to the age that they were driving, right? I don't expect them to just get in the middle behind the wheel, especially if it's a stick shift, and figure it out. It takes time. And we forget that we were once there too, and we did not know how to do this either. So, as a coach, you have to have compassion and you have to have patience. I way too often hear from my clients or people out in the world, I don't understand why they can't just be like me. Don't they see what I'm doing? No, they don't just see what you're doing. They don't. One time years ago, when I had an amazing, wonderful coach that was coming into my center, I had this teacher that I absolutely loved. She had so much potential. So I spent a month in her classroom every day from 9 a.m. to lunchtime, like from all the most important thing, just circle time, outside time, just all of the activities. And I acted as the lead teacher and implemented all the things, right? And hoping, like, I figured if I walk alongside her, she'll just figure it out. So the 30 days goes by, and she just said, man, it's going to be so sad not to have you in here anymore. I wish I could do what you do. And I thought to myself, "Well, just do it. Of course you can. Just do it. I don't see what the big deal is." So I went to my coach in frustration. And I said, I don't understand. Why is it that I showed her all this and she just doesn't get it? And my wonderful, amazing coach, June, who is no longer with us, said to me, Evelyn, when you coach someone, you can't expect to just do it and expect them to watch you and just copy you. That is not how people operate. She said, you need to go in there and intentionally say, okay, I am going to demonstrate how to do this for you. You need to watch me, take notes of how I speak, how I act, how do I get on their level. She said, literally, point out the things you want her to learn and then demonstrate it. So that's what I started doing. And I took that a step further and I became a mentor. And now I know that not only I put it in writing also, like, okay, these are the things we're going to go over today, right? Put it in writing, give it to them. And then I make them demonstrate it for me. They have to show me what they've done. Like, basically, let's say, for example, I'm teaching how to do a circle time. I'll do the circle time, put the notes on, listen to how I read to the children, watch how I pause, look at how I deal with interruptions, look at how I deal with my voice and intonations, how excited I get, how we point out the pictures, how we don't just read the words on the page, or even how I point out the words in the order it goes in, right? There's so much more than just picking up a book and reading to a child. So I'll like make bullet points of the things that they need to look at and the things that we need for them to pay attention to. And then the next day, I make them do it and I critique it. You did awesome by letting the children participate. So, first, compliment. Second, I'll say, however, and that's when I give them the constructive criticism. Next time, maybe don't let them or cut their interruptions short. Definitely want participation, right? So you just keep doing that until it gets right, until they understand. It takes practice and practice and practice, just like teaching someone how to drive. It doesn't happen overnight. One of my clients that was at both of the places that I spoke this weekend, her and I were talking about this, about how she said, there's so much out there, but one of the things she actually said was like, I'm so thankful I have you guys at Child Care Business Professional to come alongside us and help and to make sure all this gets done because I forget all of this. She said it's just so much that it's hard to remember. And she said it's so nice to have you guys where I can just tap into your resources, have you guys guide me through. And she also mentioned today I might not need all of this, but 6 months from now I might need it, and you're there to refresh it. I've also spoken to other clients, and one of the things that I say in most of the trainings, whenever I do a training, I do not want to be that person who wastes your money. I don't. So if you come to one of my trainings, I will always give you time to work on what we're doing. So basically, I train and then you put something in action, right? We'll do a segment where you're going to create what we're talking about for your own center, and then we're going to train, and then we're going to put it into action so that by the time you're done with my training, you actually have something to take with you that is completed and done. Because I know me and 85% of the rest of you out there. We take these amazing trainings, we have these amazing handouts, and they're awesome. And we can't wait to get back to our centers and implement it. And we can't wait to get it all done. So we put it on our desk, and then something else goes on top of that. And then something else goes on top of that. And then by the time you're cleaning out your desk or your inbox, you remember this training that was so wonderful. Or even if it's in an email and it gets buried in your email. So you file it somewhere, right? If it's in your email, you might file it under like need to do later. Or if it's a paper training, you're going to file it somewhere. And we forget. A year from now, you might be cleaning out your desk and you pull out that training and you look at it and think, oh, I remember this. I went to that one conference and it was amazing. And I learned all these wonderful things. And I got to do this. I'm going to leave this out so I can do it. And it goes through the same cycle, sits on your desk again. And then you get to the point where one day you're going through that cycle again. You're cleaning things out. You find that amazing training again. And you think, I'm never going to do this. I don't even remember what it was about. I remember it was great. I should have really done this. I should have implemented it. Gosh. And you might start beating yourself up because you never did anything with it. But at that point, it goes in the trash. I hear that way too often. And I've experienced that myself with trainings. So that's why I'm really passionate about coaching and not training. Because I realized in my own life and in my own center, after going through that cycle over and over and over again and talking to people, I've been a trainer for a long time. After talking to people, and they were saying the same thing like, oh, yeah, that was such a great training, but, and I cannot tell you last week how many times I heard that, how many times I heard from different people. I was actually talking to one lady uh, during the one of the conferences I went to, and she actually said to me, "Oh, there were so many amazing nuggets from the speaker. She was amazing, and she had these amazing nuggets, and I can't remember any of them right now, but they were amazing, and I did write them down. So I'm going to have to find my notes later." And as she was saying that, I thought to myself, "She's never going to find those notes, and she's never going to remember." So, my message to you today is don't just be a participant. If you don't have a coach, find a way to coach yourself. If you need a coach, let us know in the comments. Stop wasting your money on trainings that you're never going to implement. It's exactly why I structured childcare business professionals the way I did, where we have office hours that we can show up for you, where we have an accountability person for you. Our accountability, oh my gosh, I can't remember the title right now for Lisa. Sorry, Lisa. You can write your title in the comments. But that is exactly why I structured this company the way I did, because I don't want to take people's money on things that'll never be implemented. I'm not going to be a coach that people only or a trainer that people only remember 15% of what I was taught or what I taught and only ever implement 3. I want to be that person that gets the 85%. I want to help people change. I don't want to just have great information. I want to be a conduit of change. So if that's something that resonates with you, let us know. If you're listening to the podcast, email us. You can email admin@childcarebusinessprofessionals.com. We would love to get you started. We'd love to come alongside you. All of this content you hear on the podcast, you see in my videos, we help you make that become a reality for you. So get a hold of us. And again, I'm sorry for the raw footage. I know the sound may not be the best. I don't look the best today. This is me with zero makeup on, which a year from ago, I would have never been able to record a video with zero makeup on. But this is what you get. You get me raw today. So I hope everybody has a wonderful week. I am flying back home today. I'm finally done from a very, very long stint in New York, from Buffalo to Long Island, and I'm ready to go home. I'm definitely ready to be back in Nevada. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and hopefully I will be with my clients tomorrow morning in office hours from my office and no longer here in New York. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining Evelyn today. For more information, please visit childcarebusinessprofessionals.com.